And on page 15 of the Wildlands Project, Dr. Reed Noss says that we must convert at least 50% of the land area of North America to wilderness, off limits to human beings. Those core wilderness areas are to be interconnected by wilderness corridors off limits to human beings. Those wilderness areas are to be surrounded by buffer zones that may have limited resource use under the supervision and permitting of the federal government, in collaboration with non-government organizations. Human population to be resettled into the remaining 25% of the land, into communities that are described as sustainable communities. And I have been challenged on the radio and in audiences like this, Mr. Lamb, there's no such thing as a global agenda. Hey, friend, you're absolutely wrong. Here it is. It's called Agenda 21. Agenda 21, the primary document presented in Rio de Janeiro and adopted by more than 100 heads of state, including George Bush, which lays out in intricate detail all of the transformation that must take place in society in order for it to become sustainable as they define sustainability. I want to tell you about a few of the things that I have learned during these last 5 years of intensive research. Perhaps the most startling thing that I can share with you is that all of the conspiracy theories that you've ever heard about one world government, about the UN takeover of the world, all of those conspiracies have now been laid to rest. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. It's all published. The UN-funded Commission on Global Governance began meeting in 1992 in earnest and met for 4 years, and last fall released their final report. It is entitled Our Global Neighborhood. Few of the things.
That's right. Exactly that. Because, like I said, all the conspiracy theories have been laid to rest. Why is that? Because it's no longer a conspiracy theory. You just want to use that term to label people crazy or nuts. Meanwhile, all the so-called conspiracy theories have all come to pass. They've all happened, right? And you are sadly mistaken if you think for a second that the wicked elites, they don't have a planned agenda, diabolical agenda for that matter, against you and everything you love. You'll be fooling yourself. You'll be deceiving your own self. And in this case, ignorance is not a bliss, because you have to know about these things. You should know about these things. Think about, the Georgia Guidestones, right? For years and years, they had that up there for everybody to see. I mean, they've miraculously demolished it now, but it was up there. And they had the so-called 10 Commandments agenda that they want to accomplish. The main one in that is to maintain humanity under 500 million. And think about how many people are on the planet, which, just going by the census that they put out there, probably there's a whole lot of people more than that, because you can't count everyone. But judging by going by the census they put out there, it's going closer to what? 8 billion, 9 billion? 9 billion people. So you can imagine what they've planned against you and everything you love. For you to be deluding yourself and thinking, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory. Well, this man just told you right here that it's all come to pass. we'll get back to the video. But before we do so, I would like to start off by saying all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all you hopeful elect Akim out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. And to you, Akim, and now listening and learning, to you I say shalom, right? This is Psalms the 64th chapter. Let's just start at the first verse. It says, hear my voice, O Most High, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Like he's going into the UN secret meetings that they do, right? They do it in secrecy, but guess what? It's all beginning to be exposed. Case in point, like the whistleblower we were just watching earlier, right? You know, the Bilderberg Group meetings and the Davos meetings, the Grove meetings, right? That they do, the cremation of fear and all that, right? So this is how they plan, like it says, the intricate detail, like the man was going into that. They have this intricate detail about how they're trying to accomplish the agenda. You can lump in the 15-minute cities because they call it the sustainable environment where you will own nothing and be happy. You see, this is all the agenda. And before they carry it out, they have to plan it first. So this is why King David here, like it says here, Psalm of David, is praying this prayer. And this prayer extends to the elect. You see? It says, hear my voice, O Most High, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Like go back to them having an agenda. And part of that agenda is to reduce the number of people that are on the planet. Is in Georgia Guidestone. I mean, it's been demolished now, but it was there for everybody to see. So this is why you're praying for your life to be preserved, because you don't know how they're trying to accomplish this means. There's elaborate ways for them to accomplish this, and they've been doing it. Right? So the second verse, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. Case in point, the UN meetings, right? Trilateral commissions and the Bilderberg groups and Davos and World Economic Forums, right? These are all the secret counsel of the wicked. Guess what? Everything they plan in there is not for your own benefit. I mean, they might disguise it as such, like it's for your own good, right? But it's never for your own good. You can believe that. It says, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword. In other words, they sharpen their tongue like a sword. So everything that comes out of their mouth in these meetings, guess what? It is to destroy. What do you do with a sword? You know, you chop people up, man. You kill with a sword. So these meetings that they go and they sharpen their mouths, you know, through the legislations, through the agendas, through all kinds of concocted plans that they have, right? Through that, this is how they sharpen their mouths and to sharpen their agendas to destroy you like a sword, right? And bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. So it all starts with the word of mouth, right? And then they take it further to actually put hands on you. Because through their legislation, they can actually destroy you, right? It says, the fourth verse, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily. They encourage themselves in an evil matter so far that they have to write a book about it, about, like the dude said, not the dude, the man, and he was going into how it's no longer conspiratorial, because everything is all out there. They even had to write a book. This is how they encourage themselves in an evil matter. how to take away ownership of everything from you. You wouldn't own anything, not your house, not your cars, not even your children. You see what I'm saying? Take away ownership from you, not even your thoughts. They're trying to live in your head, with the neural link and all that, right? They're trying to live directly in your head and beam thoughts in your mind. This is how crazy they are. I mean, you can call it conspiracy theory, like it says. They've all been laid to rest. The fact that they're trying to put brain-computer interface, look at what Neuralink is doing with Elon Musk, right? They've been planning that. They said this year will be the year that will go ahead with human trials. So you own nothing, not even your thoughts. And you will be happy about it. You see? This is how they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? But now they're beginning to be seen, right? With their wicked agendas, there's a lot of whistleblowers out there, making it known. Beginning with the God of the Bible, he sees them. Matter of fact, he put it in their mind to plan all these things out. Because one thing you don't know about the God of the Bible, people have a misconception of the God of the Bible. They say he's all good all the time, but that is not the case. He creates evil. He creates wickedness. The God of the Bible, he do all these things, man. He tell you that is in the scriptures, right? That he do all these things through men, through angels, through demons. However he want to accomplish it, he will make it happen. You see? It says, the 7th verse said, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So in all their plans that they've been planning, guess what? It's still a trap for them. Because the God of the Bible, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, throw a monkey wrench in that their plans that they have, right? To entrap them. You see, it says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. In other words, they will even come, like they wrote the book about their agendas. They have the Georgia Guidestone before they demolished it. It was all out there. So this is how their own tongue, in their own pride, they even expose themselves. Even in the movies, they just had the movie with all the predictive programming, Leave the World Behind, right? Everybody was all on that. Everybody hopped on it, was deciphering it and all that, right? So that's what it is. That's how they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. You have your whistleblowers. Most of the whistleblowers was in that circle, right? They were in that circle. They were in the illuminated ones, so to speak. And then they got out of there. And what is the first thing they do? To expose the secrets, to expose the agendas. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, right? That's if you have the eye salve, if you have the mind to be able to resist, right? So once they're exposed, you know what they're about, and then you get away from them, man. You wouldn't partake in that. And there's a slogan that's been going around, do not consent, right? I do not consent. Why will you say that? Because you know that whatever it is that they have planned is not for your own good, right? It says, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider his doings. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory, right? So let's get back to the clip.
Things that they wish to do. Create a world-standing army under the day-to-day command of, who else? The UN Secretary General. They recommend the creation of a new Economic Security Council, into which the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations Development Program, and the World Trade Organization would all be consolidated. A unified worldwide banking scheme, currency, I don't think I need to draw any more pictures on that.
Yep, he doesn't need to draw any more pictures. And why is that? Because it's happening already in our time. I believe this clip is way years and years ago, far back, probably in the 90s. Who knows? It looks like kind of like in the 90s or maybe early 2000. Because what is it? He's talking about the world economic system will be a one world thing. And how is that going to be possible? Through digital means. This is how you get your CBDCs, right? The digital currencies. So that's how they will be able to make it one world digital transaction, which is biblical prophecy. Think Revelation, the 13th chapter, and the 16th verse. He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. You see that? That's what it is. This is the new way of spending. This is the new way of transaction, the digital currencies. Everything will go digital. That's why they've been slowly, gradually, pulling you in to this digital means through the QR codes, through credit cards and through ATM cards, all of that. They've been gradually normalizing that idea in your mind that, cash is not all that needed, because they have to take it to the next way of transaction, which will be worldwide. Because now think about digital currency. It doesn't have a physical currency, so it can use the digital money anywhere. You see? That's what he's talking about right here. And every bank, they're all in on it. All of them, they're all in on it.
That point. Now, those non-government organizations like ours that are not accredited by the UN, we are called populist trash activists who can destroy, they say, in a moment, years of deliberation. And you're darn right. I have been challenged on the radio and in audiences like this. Mr. Lamb, there's no such thing as a global agenda. Hey, friend, you're absolutely wrong. Here it is. It's called Agenda 21. Agenda 21, the primary document presented in Rio de Janeiro and adopted by more than 100 heads of state, including George Bush, which lays out in intricate detail all of the transformation that must take place in society in order for it to become sustainable as they define sustainability. This may be available at the United Nations bookstore. I had to pick this up. I had not seen one until last July. Had not been able to get one. I happened to be in Geneva attending a United Nations meeting, and I went to the bookstore and bought the thing. I believe it cost $45. So the parties held its first meeting in Nassau last December. At that first meeting, the United Nations Environment Program presented them with a global biodiversity assessment. Started in 1992 with a grant from the Global Environment Facility for $3.3 million, orchestrated and coordinated by the World Resources Institute and the World Wildlife Fund and the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. This is 1,140 pages that explains how to implement the 16-page treaty on biodiversity. The last 200 pages, section 13, deals specifically with a system of protected areas. It defines what a system of protected areas is. It includes core wilderness areas surrounded by buffer zones, similar to those used in the biosphere reserves, created under a UNESCO program and promoted by the United States Man in the Biosphere program, there are 382 biosphere reserves around the world, 47 of which are in the United States, not under authority of any treaty, but by voluntary agreement with the United Nations. These biosphere reserves are to be the nucleus for the core wilderness area. Scratching my head here, what on earth is going on? And then I stumbled on page 993, and friends, if you don't think that's some heavy reading at night, page 993, after describing these protected areas, sums it all up by saying, the recently published Wildlands Project in the United States is the central theme of protected area. And on page 15 of the Wildlands Project, Dr. Reed Noss says that we must convert at least 50% of the land area of North America to wilderness, off limits to human beings. Those core wilderness areas are to be interconnected by wilderness corridors off limits to human beings. Those wilderness areas are to be surrounded by buffer zones that may have limited resource use under the supervision and permitting of the federal government, in collaboration with non-government organizations. Human population to be resettled into the remaining 25% of the land, into communities that are described as sustainable communities.
You know exactly what that is. That is your 15-minute cities. That is your 15-minute city. So their plan is to pack you like sardines, like canned fish, pack everyone together in these 15-minute cities, and the rest of the land they will own, and it will just be wilderness. They will own the resources, and you will own nothing and be happy. And in these 15-minute cities, you will need your digital identity, right? Because it will be all digital for you to go anywhere. Everything is all digital. So you need that digital identity, right? That's what he's saying. They call it, they use this, less threatening terms like sustainable, right? Meanwhile, there's nothing sustainable about it. If anything, is oppressive. It's nothing but oppression on the people to pack you. Here it is, the earth is as big as it gets. They just want to pack you in some little space and have you be there like some kind of prisoner, like a slave that you are. Think about Morpheus in Matrix, right? It says you are a slave, Neo. You were born into bondage. That is the Matrix, man. You were born into bondage. You are a slave, just like it was told to Neo in Matrix. That's what it is. And they're trying to accomplish that. Not just the mental slavery. Now they're trying to physically put you in a perpetual bondage. That's what he's talking about here. Sustainable communities. What do you think that is? Sustainable communities. Give me a break.
Now let me put a parenthesis right here for a moment. He created what he called a White House task force on ecosystem management. He called 20 federal departments together and said, you will create an ecosystem management policy, and you will implement the ecosystem management policy throughout.
And what is that now? That is your climate change policies. Back then, called it ecosystem policy. Now that is the climate change policy. And you see how they're pushing that. they're pushing it hardcore. You know.
Out the federal government, Department of Interior, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Education, throughout the federal government. They developed what they called multimedia enforcement. Where they run into a problem with a community that will not accept this ecosystem management concept, multimedia enforcement means that all 20 federal agencies descend on the community and begin inspections and writing tickets. I couldn't believe it.
The document calls for
Of course, he couldn't believe it because now they're encroaching on your so-called freedom of speech. You heard him. If you don't go along with the agenda, like the one about climate, like the one about the alphabet community, they will descend upon you, right? They have sleeper agents, man, all throughout. Think about the open borders, man, and all these people pouring in because a lot of the American soldiers wouldn't really have the heart to descend upon their own people like that, right? So this is why they have to, seek the Gurkha troops, the UN troops, and all this militia type troops that they already have. They are sleeper agents, right? There's been an interview about somebody like I believe it was an Uber driver that was interviewing one of these sleeper agents, and he said he's just waiting for the order, right? They put them up in all these hotels and nice looking places that they wouldn't give the veterans, right? But they give to these people, they call them the asylum seekers, whatever they want to call them, immigrants, right? Why do you think that is? These are nothing but sleepers, man. Sleeper agents. When the time is right, like the Manchurian Candidate, if you've seen the movie with Denzel Washington and the other dude, right? When the time is right, guess what? They'll be activated. And once they're activated, man, you don't want to know. Let's finish this out.
Concept, multimedia enforcement means that all 20 federal agencies descend on the community and begin inspections and writing tickets. I couldn't believe it.
the document calls for literally reducing the human population by as much as 2/3 to 3/4 in the next 30 to 50 years. It could set aside up to 1/2 of the American landscape into wilderness areas interconnected by wilderness corridors, all surrounded by human buffer zones in which human activities are highly regulated. That is very, very clear in these United Nations documents that they want to set up a regulatory structure that would affect every man, woman, and child on planet Earth. And all of the control would be headquartered in the United Nations. And if we take the more recent United Nations documents, it's going to be called the Trusteeship Council in the restructure of the United Nations that's occurring right now. And the Man of the Biosphere Program, as revealed in the U.S. State Department documents as well as UNESCO documents, clearly show that the Man of the Biosphere Program actually is the first step in implementing the Convention on Biological Diversity. And there are 47 of these Man of the Biosphere Program around this nation that occupy about 51 million acres of U.S. soil.
World Heritage Sites are many of our national parks. In fact, 68% of our national parks land base is now under UNESCO's World Heritage Site. And that includes the symbol of independence in America, the Independence Hall, the Statue of Liberty, Yellowstone National Park, Monticello, Carlsbad Cavern, and the American people didn't even realize this was happening. It was done in
Yep. The American people didn't even realize this was happening. While you were inundated with all this bullshit, the bread and circuses, you were more concerned about the playoffs and, your NBAs and your NFLs and your Hollywood gossips, right? Who is dating who and, who is divorcing who, right? Who is the most paid actors. You got caught up in your TikTok challenges, right? All that was to distract you from what they were really doing. Like the lady said, the American people had no idea what was happening to them. Because they know you, man. They've studied you, right? Which brings us to here again, Psalms the 64th chapter, and this is verse. It says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. You see that? That is how, because they've studied you. They've studied the people. They know what makes you tick. This is how they were able to carry out diabolical plans upon you, and you have no idea. You see what I'm saying? You have no idea, because like it says here, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. You know? They're not just out there shooting in the dark. Through trial and errors, they've perfected their craft. They know how you think, because they make you think like that. You know? They know what makes you tick, because they make you tick like that. You see? This is how they carry out, they accomplish a diligent search. They've done their due diligence in understanding the people, the minds of the people. One of the things on Facebook, what did they ask you? They tell you what is on your mind. And they don't even tell you to post. They want to know what is on your mind. So they know they've been reading your thoughts, so to speak. You see? It says both the inward thought of every one of them and their heart is deep. In other words, their mind. So all this, like I was talking about the UNESCO, right? They've occupied all the lands, and man, they were saying a whole lot. You see? So this is how their mind is deep. They're able to come up with all these plans and how to perfectly carry them out. You see? And if you don't want to go along with it, like you have dissenters out there, people that can see it for what it is. Guess what? That the man says they have all this military that are ready to jump on you, man. Because it's written, this is Revelation, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So this is directed to the wicked elites, right? The wicked elites, for them to accomplish all this Agenda 2020, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, right? The Great Reset, the fourth industrial revolution. They have a short space of time to accomplish this. So they're about to throw everything at you. Like the man said, they have, like kind of like the sleeper agents. If you don't want to go along with any agenda that they have going on, or if you're out there talking shit, they will pounce on you. You see? They'll jump on you, man. They'll jump on you so hard you wouldn't know what hit you. It's coming to that time, man. It's coming to that time. So this is not the time for you to be lollygagging, with your thumb up your ass and twirling on it. This is time for you to be aware and stay prepared mentally, physically, right? Spiritually. Because it's not going to be an easy work. It's not going to be a kick in the park, man. Guess what? It's going to be all hell breaking loose. Think of the movie The Road. Think of the movie The Book of Eli, right? There's a lot of apocalyptic movies out there. Like the new one now, Leave the World Behind. The only one that was prepared was your man, Kevin Bacon. You want to be kind of like that, knowing that this was going to go down, and you were somewhat prepared for it. More than anything, spiritually prepared for it. And with that, all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach HaKodash. The belongs to apostles and elders of Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom.